Secretarial standard on dividend. It is recommendatory as the central government has not approved it yet. So the dividend is a return on investment and made in the share capital. And the same definition of the act, it includes the interim dividend. And the section 8 is prohibited from giving dividend, and it is not capitalization of profits. Next is the standard prescribes how the declaration and payment of dividend is done, and it is with respect to the going concern, and the standard is applicable to both final dividend and interim dividend. And the basic rule, the act, if this is in inconsistent with the act will prevail. The definitions, the act means the company act, dividend that is distributed to the members, final dividend which is recommended by board of directors and declared in the annual general meeting, interim dividend which is declared directly by the board of directors. It does not need declaration from annual general meeting. Pre-reserves is which are available for dividend, and it does not include revaluation of assets, gains, notional gains. And then the member, who are the member, the subscriber to a memorandum who agrees in writing, and who are the beneficial ownership, preferential shareholder, who have a fixed amount of dividend which we have to pay them before the equity shareholders. And so to start with, ascertainment of amount available for payment as dividend. How to calculate the amount for distribution of dividend? This is similar to the section 123, 124, 125, 126, 127 of the Companies Act. Out of the profits, dividend shall be paid out of the profits of the financial year, and or out of the profits of the previous financial year after providing depreciation. And dividend may also be declared by the amount given by central government. If the previous losses or depreciation is not being carried out or not been minused from the dividend amount, then further the company may, before the declaration, transfer some amount to the reserves. Then a company shall not declare dividend on its equity share in case of non-compliance when the deposits are not paid. It shall not declare dividend. If there is a default in redemption of debentures, preference shares, the payment of dividend of the payment of dividend has been declared in the current or previous financial year, or there is a default in repayment of loan, and such default is still subsisting, then the company cannot declare a dividend. Dividend shall not be declared out of the securities premium account or capital redemption reserve or revaluation reserve or amalgamation reserve, or on the profits of the reissue of the forfeited shares and profit earned prior to incorporation. Then the interim dividend shall be declared and paid out of the surplus in profit and loss account, and out of the profits of the financial year. The board of directors may declare it, and it is not required, declaration from shareholders. While declaring the interim dividend, the board shall consider the financial results and it should be justifiable. The financial results shall take into account the depreciation, tax on profits, losses, and fixed rate of preference shares, losses incurred in the previous quarter, and interim dividend shall not be declared out of the three preceding financial years if there is in case. Then, where a company has issued equity shares with differential rights, it may be of the option of the board that it may can declare on all class or is for one class. Next, out of the free reserves, in a year in which profits are inadequate or there are no profits, the company may declare dividend out of the free reserves, and this is with respect to the rule 3 of the company's declaration and payment of dividend. So, the rate of dividend is which has been declared, we should not be less than more than 3 years, three financial immediately preceding financial year, and it should not be applicable on such companies who has never given a dividend. Next is the withdrawal should not be more than 1/10 of the paid up cash capital and free reserves. Then the amounts of withdrawn first year should be utilized for the losses, and then the balance in free reserve should not be less than 15% of the paid up share capital, and it should the such conditions are not applicable to the government company. Interim dividend shall not be declared out of the free reserves. In case of loss, it should not be declared of free reserves. Declaration of dividend. Dividend shall be declared only on the recommendation of the board made at a meeting of the board, and it should not be declared subject to any conditions. So dividend shall be declared only at an AGM, and whichever the board has recommended, declare the members can declare dividend at a lower rate or equal to that also. No dividend shall be declared on equity shares for previous years in which previous years for the which has been adopted, previous years dividend cannot be declared. And there's an exception. Arrears can be declared and paid. Interim dividend should be declared at the meeting of a board. Then the distribution of discount coupons shall not be treated as deemed dividend. Company is prohibited to issue bonus shares in lieu of dividend. Entitlement to dividend to be paid only to the registered holders of the shares entitled to dividend or to their order or to their bankers, as the beneficial owner whose name appears in the register of members and overall whose name appear before the day of closure of as on date of record. Shall a preference shareholder shall be paid dividend before dividend is paid to equity shareholders. Then is the arrears of dividend on cumulative preference shares shall be paid before the payment of any dividend to equity shares. Dividend of on equity shares shall be paid in accordance with the right of respective classes. Dividends in abeyance. Amount of dividend on which transfer has been delivered but has not been registered, then it should be transferred to the unpaid dividend account by taking an authorization from the concerned member. Payment of dividend shall be deposited in a separate bank account within 5 days from the declaration and should be paid within 30 days of the declaration. And interim holiday should be included. And the requirement of 5 days is not applicable to the government company. Taxes the company has to pay the DDT. Distribution dividend shall be paid in cash and not in kind. It is not possible to any electronic mode. Dividend shall be paid from check or dividend warrant. In case of payment of dividend to warrant or check, if the amount exceeds 1,500, the company shall ensure to dispatch the dividend warrant or check either by speed post or registered post. In case of Nidhi company, where the dividend payable is 100 or less, it shall be sufficient compliance if the declaration of dividend is made in the local language newspaper. And it should also be displayed on the notice board on the Nidhi company for 3 months. Initial validity of the dividend check or warrant shall be for 3 months and it should be entered in the register of dividend warrants. A duplicate dividend check shall be issued only after obtaining requisite indemnity declaration from the concerned member and after ascertaining the encashment status of the original dividend check or warrant. And it should also be entered in the register of duplicate dividend warrants. The dividend check or warrant shall be accompanied by a statement in writing showing the amount of dividend paid, folio number, and client ID. It shall be paid proportionally on the paid up value of shares. Call in arrears and can be adjusted. No dividend shall be in the interest against the company except in case of default. And the company will not be in default in following cases. Or by operation of law, shareholder has given directions which cannot be complied and it has been communicated to the concerned shareholder. There has been dispute, the dividend has been adjusted. Unpaid dividend. After 30 days, the unpaid dividend account shall be transferred to the unpaid dividend account within the expiry of 7 days from 30 days. In case of Nidhi company, it should same be credited to the member's account of such dividend. Any amount in the unpaid dividend account which remains unpaid for 7 years within the expiry of 30 days, it should be transferred to the Investor Education and Protection Fund. It shall maintain records of such transfer, and then it shall not transfer if any court has holded it. And then before transferring any unclaimed or unpaid dividend, the company shall intimate before 3 months to the member before such transfer. Any interest incurred should also be transferred. And any shares which has not been claimed, then it should also be transferred. Dividends once declared becomes a debt and shall not be revoked. Preparation of dividend checks, warrants and dividend register. The dividend checks or warrant written by bank shall preserve for 8 years. Notes to accounts forming part of the financial statements of the company shall disclose the aggregate amount of dividend proposed to be distributed to the equity and preference shareholders, and arrears shall also be disclosed. It shall also disclose under the current liabilities and provisions if there is any amount lying in the unpaid dividend account along with the interest. The amount of interim dividend, if any, recommended, paid, and final dividend recommended shall be disclosed in the board's report. Annual report shall disclose the amount lying in the unpaid dividend account in respect of last 7 years. And if any, should be transferred to the Investor Education Protection Fund. Additional compliances for listed companies is given. Equity shall shares rank pari passu with the existing equity shares. Shall not issue shares of superior rights. Shall prior intimate to the stock exchange before declaration or recommendation of dividend. The record date should be fixed and it should be in advance 7 days intimated. The stock exchange shall recommend declare dividend at least 5 working days before the record date, and they shall disclose the outcome within 30 minutes to the stock exchange. 1500 the company shall dispatch by speed post, and the company shall declare disclosed dividend on per share basis only. Shall forfeit unclaimed dividend before the claim becomes bare by law. Top 500 companies, listed companies, have to prepare dividend distribution policy, and it shall disclose in the corporate governance report the dividend payment made under the general shareholder information section.